Doug Smith with another Restaurant Mastermind here on LinkedIn. We were talking to Sergio Perez, Director of Digital Marketing for Huddle House. And Sergio, before we get into the questions, you have an interesting background in the restaurant space because you grew up in it. So you've really been on both sides of this. Fill us in quickly on your background and how you really understand both sides of the restaurant space.
Sure. So, I grew up in South Texas to a family of restaurateurs. My grandmother started with a taco stand in Mexico City, and as living the American dream, if you will, migrated to Texas and opened restaurants in Texas. So I understand what it's like to, be a franchisee, if you will, to, have to worry about, being HR and marketing and IT and ops all in, sort of one space. And it gave me a really good perspective as now a restaurant marketer to understand that, the programs that we put in place for our brands that are franchisees, have to one, drive sales, but also have to be easy to execute, right? Operators have lots to do already, especially folks who are one unit operators have lots to do. So we got to make it as easy and turnkey for them to be able to execute. So, I know what it's like to, have to roll out a new promo or have to, roll out a new program. And, seeing it from that perspective really gives you, an appreciation for not only the franchise community, but also a responsibility to do right by them.
No, very cool. So you're the director of digital marketing. Obviously, COVID threw a monkey wrench into this entire industry.
Right.
COVID was starting to spread, and you could see all the changes that were coming. Did you pivot your specific marketing strategy to accommodate for these changes? And if so, what exactly did you do?
Yeah, so one of the things that was very evident, or there's a couple of things that were evident early on, and one is that the commute to work really had stopped for a lot of people, right? So Huddle House and Perkins as breakfast forward brands really depend on that commute from a traffic driving perspective. So we realized that less people were going out, especially from a commute perspective, and two, that people were genuinely concerned about their health and well-being being out and about. So, we undertook a tremendous transformation, really a digital transformation in about a 4-week period between, when closures began to April 1st. One of the first things we did is we rolled out our online ordering platform. It was something that we had been working on. It was kind of on the schedule, but we didn't really have it ready. So we really accelerated the development of online ordering and delivery as ways for us to drive revenue, knowing that, people were going to look for convenient ways to order food and pick up food. So we needed to create that entire infrastructure for them to be able to do that. So everything from, website updates to integrations with online ordering providers to, being able to integrate also delivery providers through this entire infrastructure. And then also the development of the launch of the new, Huddle House app. So those were, from an e-commerce and off-premise perspective, some of the things we, tackled almost immediately too. We put a particular focus on the accuracy of information we were giving our guests from a restaurant standpoint. So hours of operation, what's open, what's closed, what kind of services available. So we really shifted to, deploy field operations and field marketing teams to make sure that, we had, still open banners or, order online, really communicate to the community that, our restaurants were still operating to some capacity. And these are a couple ways in which you can order from us online, call it for delivery or call and pick up your order. One of the last things we did which was a little bit different was we launched what we called Huddle Market, which was this really grocery type program in our restaurants. We realized that there was, you looked at or watched the news and you saw that, things like toilet paper were running out and, commodities like, meats and milk and eggs were, not available in grocery stores. And, Huddle House is self-distributed and we have our own distribution center. So we had the ability to be more nimble and flexible. So we turned a lot of our restaurants into small grocery stops. So you can not only come in and have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but you could also pick up groceries, which in the rural footprint that Huddle House has, access to groceries might be a challenge in some of those areas. So we're able to really feed and put food on the table for a lot of folks who really didn't have an opportunity to get things like toilet paper, meats, milk, eggs. So that really helped us from a revenue perspective. But again, I'll say the big three things was we became more convenient and gave people an opportunity to order online, to really amplify our local efforts to provide local programs and support to our franchise partners, and relevant and accurate information for our guests. And then lastly, we created this grocery store.
That's cool. Now, this next question I wrote down, so as my eyes elevate, I want to make right. Okay. I want you to explain your belief that every touch point along a customer's hunger journey is an opportunity to add value, spark emotion, and inspire action. In the world of marketing, that's a deep mission statement per se.
Sure.
But can you explain that and how you integrate that philosophy into what you're doing digital-wise?
Yeah. So, when you talk to agencies and any marketer, they always talk about, the journey, right? There's some sort of journey. But for me, as a restaurant marketer, you really have to think about it from a hunger journey perspective, right? You think about, there's periods in the day of hunger, right? You wake up, you have breakfast, you have a snack, you have lunch, you have dinner. And when you're trying to make those decisions as a guest, it's important for us as marketers to deliver relevant information or content that's really going to drive some sort of conversion, right? So if you're thinking about, breakfast, you're probably thinking about 2 or 3 places that you want to go. But if we deliver a early morning, piece of content on your Facebook feed, or we send you a push notification to your phone or an email that says, hey, come have, homestyle breakfast at our house, have it your way. It really gives us an opportunity to then, drive a conversion. But, I think in simple terms, I feel that, news feeds today are just so bombarded with all kinds of messages, right? And marketing speak that, the number of emails you get and notifications, that it just becomes a lot, right? And as marketers, we have the challenge of how do you break through that noise? And really how you do that is by understanding who your guest is. Are they a breakfast person in our case? Are they do they prefer lunch or dinner? Are they an individual person, or do they have a family? You have to look at how they behave and engage with the brand for you to be able to deliver that right message at the right time in that hunger journey for you to be able to drive a conversion. So for me, I think we have a big responsibility to do our job, know our customer and our guests, and then put messages in front of them that are actually going to drive some action. It might be a visit to the restaurant. It might be them ordering online, or it might just be them leaving a review for us, right? You have to think about what kind of action you want that guest to take. But the only way you get someone's attention is if you say, hey, Sergio, we know you like breakfast. I'm going to show you a breakfast item, versus you just saying, hey, you come eat at our place. It makes a big difference when you actually know somebody.
That's good info, because it actually segues into my third question, in that once they have the app and you know about them, that means that the customer has crossed that threshold into a restaurant the first time. So you're able to then gather all that data. As you look at the digital platforms today, how has it changed how to get that first customer acquisition? Because that's the big thing, is once you get them in, then you get a chance to get information to nurture that relationship. But how are you using these platforms to get that first visit?
Yeah, it's money is the name of the game for acquisition most of the time, right? You have to make significant investments, or good investments from a paid media perspective. But one thing that we've done differently at Huddle House, and speaks to the nature of what the brand is. Huddle House is really true to the community. It's a hub where people get together, have a cup of coffee, talk about the day's events, they read the newspaper, and it really becomes a congregation. And we've really leveraged our in-restaurant teams and our hub being the restaurant as a place to drive conversion. So, in-restaurant messaging to say, skip the line, order ahead, join the loyalty program and get a free appetizer. So we really leveraged that personal relationship we already have in restaurant with our guests to be able to drive the acquisition of people. But I can tell you that when you think about acquiring folks to any program, you always have to go back to, does it add value? Does it spark some sort of emotion, or does it inspire some sort of action? And one of the mistakes a lot of brands make or marketers make is they think that because everybody has an app, you have to have an app, or because someone's on Snapchat, you need to develop a Snapchat strategy. And that's not about that. It's about, where is your customer today? What kind of information they need from you, or what do they need from you, and what do you need to do to execute against that, right? So, we learned early on that our guests were really looking for us to be more convenient. So because of that, we developed, the mobile app, we developed enhancements on the website to make it as easy as possible for someone to not only join our loyalty program, but be able to access information, hours of operation, phone number, direction, menu, and be able to, do things like save their order, or check out within one click out of our online ordering website. So for me, is as you think about acquisition, you have to give reason to people why they want to join or download an app or visit your website. And unless you solve for that, you can put the best marketing plan to acquire folks, you can put all the dollars behind an acquisition campaign. If you convert them and there's no value for them, just as easy as they join, they're going to be out, right? So you always have to go back to, what is this for? Is it helpful? And how is it going to drive engagement with our guests?
Good stuff. One last question. This is a question I ask everybody. There are a number of restaurant owner operators today that have never been through an economic downturn. There are people that have been through 2008 and then after 9/11 and everything else. But over the last few years, the economy's been pretty good. And this is the first time that they've had kind of a hit the wall moment.
Yeah.
With your background, your experience, would there be one piece of advice that you would offer someone who's watching this that's in that position that would be the one gold nugget you think could help them try to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I think that my overall mantra is, you got to fight like hell, right? Before, COVID, fighting for every guest was important. But today, literally, your house might be on the line, your, college tuition might be on the line. I think in order for, individual operators to get ahead and stay ahead, you really need to think about somewhat of a digital transformation for your business. So if you don't have online ordering today, do that after watching this. If you don't have a way to acquire, guest information, either via email or phone number, do that after watching this. If you don't have a presence locally on social media where you can communicate to the people within your area, after watching this, go and open that Facebook account, that Instagram account, and start building a community. Because if one of the things that has been very true through this economic downturn is that the people in which you build relationships with, those families that have dined at your restaurants, that have either celebrated birthdays or have gotten engaged or whatever, those people are turning out to support you. But if you don't have a base in which you can communicate and engage with, it's going to be really difficult for you to come out of this pandemic. So again, I would say get convenience from an online ordering perspective or delivery. Do that now. If there's additional closures that are going to happen because of local and state or federal regulations, you need to be able to drive the business somehow, and online ordering and delivery allow you to do that. Build a base of people that you can communicate with on a consistent basis, and then build relationships through programs like social media to, again, continue to drive that engagement with your guests. But I think that, to me, is the restaurants that are going to get ahead are going to do those three things, and it's really going to help save some businesses for sure.
Great insight. If anybody is watching this on LinkedIn, obviously you and I are first connections on LinkedIn. That's how we got to this point. Can folks reach out to you? What's the best way to try to connect with you if they would like to pick your brain for a little bit more of your insight?
Sure. So they can always reach out via email. So that's sperez@huddlehouse.com. Happy to, answer any questions or provide any additional feedback. But, again, I think this has been a good discussion, and I appreciate your time today.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Sergio Perez, Director of Digital Marketing for Huddle House. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks.